Somewhere right now, someone is lying awake at midnight doing math. If I fall asleep right now, I'll get 6 hours. That's not 8. That's bad. I should stress about this, which means I definitely won't sleep now. Great. Sound familiar? We've all been there, staring at the ceiling, convinced that anything less than 8 hours is a biological catastrophe. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. The 8-hour rule has nothing to do with science. It was invented by a factory activist in 1817, and it was never ever meant to be a health recommendation. Let's get into it. Picture Britain in the early 1800s. Smoke everywhere. Adults clocking 16-hour shifts in factories that were basically organized misery with a roof. A Welsh reformer named Robert Owen had had enough. He started campaigning for a radical idea. Split the day into 3 equal parts. 8 hours for work, 8 hours for your personal life, 8 hours for rest. His slogan spread like wildfire through the labor movement. It was catchy, it was fair, it made sense. Robert Owen is basically the reason your weekends exist. Good guy. Genuinely. But here's where things went sideways. That 8 hours rest part of his slogan was never based on any research into how much sleep humans actually need. It was just a third of a day, mathematically convenient, politically powerful, and completely made up as a health prescription. But once the 8-hour workday became law, the 8-hour sleep rule hitched a ride on its credibility. And by the time anyone thought to question it, it had been baked into public consciousness for over a century. We inherited a sleep rule from an Industrial Revolution protest chant, which honestly explains a lot about why so many of us feel vaguely guilty about our sleep all the time. Enter Dr. Michael Breus, clinical psychologist, sleep medicine expert. The man has been fixing people's sleep for over 20 years. One of the first things he tells people, stop chasing 8 hours. Because the number isn't the problem. The timing is. The type is. The individual is. Dr. Breus introduced a concept called chronotypes. Your biological sleep personality, it's not a habit you can fix with discipline, it's coded into your DNA. He breaks it into 4 types, named after animals, which is just a great decision. The lion, up before the sun, productive before most people open their eyes, in bed by 9 or 10, born that way. The bear, the most common type, roughly half the population, follows the sun, steady, needs a solid 7 to 8 hours. The wolf, full night owl, struggles before 10 in the morning, comes alive after dark, naturally wants to sleep past 8. Not lazy, just wired differently. And the dolphin, the anxious light sleeper, brain never fully switches off, named after actual dolphins who sleep with only half their brain at a time. Here's why this matters. If you're a wolf being forced to wake up at 6 for a 9 to 5, you're not just tired. You are biologically jet-lagged every single day of your working life. And no amount of hitting the 8-hour target fixes that if you're sleeping at the completely wrong time for your body. Now the science. And it gets interesting. In 2002, researchers at UC San Diego tracked over 1 million people and measured sleep against health outcomes. The result? People sleeping 6 to 7 hours had better outcomes than people sleeping 8. That doesn't mean sleeping less is better, but it blows apart the idea that 8 hours is the universally correct number. What sleep scientists, including Dr. Breus, actually agree on is a range. 7 to 9 hours, not a fixed number, a range. Because human beings are not identical machines running the same software. Dr. Thomas Roth, another leading sleep researcher, adds something worth sitting with. The number of people who can genuinely function on 6 hours or less without any cognitive impairment? Around 3%. 3%. So if you're telling yourself you're totally fine on 5 hours, there's a 97% chance you're wrong. You haven't adapted to less sleep. You've just adapted to feeling worse and started calling it normal. This is sleep deprivation's sneakiest trick. It's gradual and quiet. You don't collapse dramatically. You just become a slightly slower, slightly foggier, slightly more irritable version of yourself. Day after day, until you can't remember what actually rested feels like. So here's the takeaway. The 8-hour rule is not science. It's a political slogan from 200 years ago that accidentally became a health standard and has been quietly making people feel guilty ever since. The actual science says, know your chronotype. Sleep in your natural window when you can. And judge your sleep by how you genuinely feel in the morning, before coffee, before your alarm drags you out, not by whether you hit an arbitrary number. Dr. Breus puts it simply, sleep is not one size fits all. It never was. The goal isn't 8 hours. It's the right hours, at the right time for the person you actually are. And if that means 6.5 hours at the right time beats 8 hours at the wrong time, then maybe the most productive thing you can do tonight is stop doing sleep math and just go to bed. Your body already knows what it needs. You just have to stop arguing with it.